Welcome, everyone. Hello. Welcome to everyone on Zoom as well. And normally in our daily lives, and this may or may not be the case for you, but let's posit this, that normally in our day-to-day life, we're aware of that which is changing. Our thoughts, our feelings, our ideas, our understanding, people, places, things, objects, our body, our emotions, our bodily sensations, how well we're feeling or how unwell, how awake, energized, or how fatigued we are. This is what consumes us. Again, maybe this isn't the case for you, but let's just suppose this is the way. What is so special about satsang? Satsang here. Well, the things that change, we can say those are things that happen in time, right? That which changes occurs in something, an occurrence in time. Our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, our sense perceptions, these all occur in time. Change means time. Time means change. Change means movement, motion. Maybe quick, maybe slow. But change is movement. And time is also movement. Movement means time. So these three, change, time, movement, are the same essential process. They're all aspects of the temporary, of the changing. And let's suppose that for most of us, this is what consumes us. We're consumed by time, by the changing, by the ephemeral, the transient. What's so special about satsang? Well, one thing that can be, well, one thing that can be very special is there's another aspect of our being, that which is timeless. That which does not change. We can allow that to come to the forefront. The eternal. Now, it is not so clear from the point of view of the mind what this eternal, timeless thing is. If you try and analyze it, if you try and understand it with thought, you cannot quite capture it, but it is here. So, one of the values of satsang is we can allow this timelessness to emerge. That which doesn't change, that which is just always here. Like that drone or shruti note. that's there in the background of some traditional compositions, songs. It's always there, soundlessly humming in the background. Soundlessly humming is obviously a metaphor for something that cannot be put into words. Maybe not obviously, but it is a metaphor. We can only point to this metaphorically, not directly. It's that soundless sound that's constantly there, signified by Om. Om. It's that vibration that's not vibrating, that's constantly present. It's that eternal presence that's always there. Now, if you can accept this with your heart, then that's it. We just allow that to come more and more to the forefront. We allow it to lead us. We follow it. That is it. That is, in essence, the teaching. If we do that, everything else follows. So if your mind can accept this, that there are two aspects to us, the transient, the eternal, and we just go towards the eternal. There are two aspects. There's time and there's the timeless. And we allow the timeless more and more to come into being. Another way of phrasing this, which may be more familiar, is that we take our attention and we take it from the transient and we put it to that which is permanent. Put our attention onto that which is permanent. Is this language sounding a bit more familiar now? Those of you who are familiar with what I say. This is self-attention, self-investigation, self-inquiry. Sri Sadhuam often uses the word attending, place our attention onto the first person. I'm talking about the same thing in different language. Now, philosophically, the mind may object. If your mind doesn't object, then you don't need to worry about any philosophical objections. We don't need to talk about philosophical objections unless there is an objection in your mind. If your mind is not objecting, then we don't need to worry about this. But the philosophical objections are, well, this is dualistic, Tom. Non-duality says all is one. And you've just said there are two aspects of us, that which is changeful and that which is unchangeful. That which is changing, that which never changes. That which is in time, and that which is timeless. And you're asking us to make one of these more important than the other. Isn't this dualistic? Right? You know, isn't everything one? Isn't everything manifestation of God? And if everything's a manifestation of God, why do we place more emphasis on one aspect of the manifestation than the other? This is an intellectual objection. Now, we don't even have to answer this objection if you follow our heart. Because when we come to satsang, or when we connect with this spiritual truth, it feels right. Yeah? And whether it's dualistic or non-dualistic, well, at least I hope it feels right. Tell me if it doesn't, by the way. If it doesn't, feel free to object and say, no, actually, that's not true for me, Tom. But I would envisage that this feels right, what I'm saying. And so we don't need to worry about the objections if we follow our heart, which says yes. Somehow the heart says, yes, that is correct. There is this timeful aspect and there's this timeless aspect. I know I'm inventing words. Timeful is not a word, I don't think. There's this aspect of us which runs in time. And there's an aspect of us which is timeless. And to allow the timeless aspect to come into focus. This is spirituality. To concentrate on that which is in time, that is the material. That is the materialistic way. To take yourself to be body-mind, living in a world. This is the materialistic way. To intuitively, spontaneously recognize ourselves as spirit. This intuitive, spontaneous recognition is always here, just overlooked. And allow this to come into the forefront. This is the emergence of that which is sacred, that which is holy, that which is divine. If there's speaking, if there's silence, if we're in touch with that which is unchanging, then if there's movement or stillness, it doesn't matter. If it's a dualistic or non-dualistic teaching, it doesn't really matter. Question is, does it lead us to peace? Does it take us away from separation and suffering? And does it reveal a profound, deep truth about the nature of ourself, the nature of reality? This is far more important than any conceptual notion of duality and non-duality. Of course, this will also take us to a non-dual realization. It appears to be a dualistic teaching, but it is this teaching and only this kind of teaching that genuinely takes us to non-dualistic perception. And again, it's not really a perception. These words are metaphorical, pointing at something beyond perception. The non-dual perception is beyond perception. The non-dual realization is beyond anything in the mind, such as realization. These words are used indicatively. Indicatively means they indicate something. That's also called pointing. They indicate something beyond the words themselves. Now, I'm just going to add a few things to what I've said already. And then I'll open up this topic of conversation to the wider group, both on Zoom and here in the room with me. But the only thing I'll add is this essential point. It's an essential point. It's an essential point that will be revealed if you just go towards the timeless. It'll be naturally revealed. But it's an essential point, which is that this timelessness is you. It is not that you are the body-mind and you can choose to either focus on that which changes, or you can have a sense of that which doesn't change. It can feel like that. In fact, that's how it probably does feel like. That's probably how it does feel. That's probably what it does feel like. Maybe. But when we go towards the timeless, when we allow the timeless to emerge, to come into the foreground, we can realize that that is what we are. And the body-mind, that changing thing, that changing entity, the body-mind that we take ourselves to be, is actually not what we are at all. The idea that we're the body-mind is a fiction, a story, a falsehood, a falsity. That is not what we truly are. Or to use slightly technical language, that is not our true self. The timelessness that we sense in the background from time to time is actually our eternal self. Now, should I say another thing? I won't say another thing. I'll say it as a question, which you may or may not want to answer. Which is that, okay, you could say another objection, apart from the, is this a dualistic teaching objection? That was the first objection. First objection is, isn't this a dualistic teaching? You're talking about two aspects of reality or two aspects of experience, that which changes, that which doesn't change. This is dualistic, this first objection. Another objection is, okay, Tom, it might feel like there's a timeless aspect and there's a time-bound aspect, right? It might feel like there's an eternal aspect, one that's outside of time. And then there's an aspect of our experience that is in time, the body-mind world. But how do we know that the timeless aspect is actually timeless? Maybe it just feels timeless, but it isn't. Maybe this timeless aspect is just a emergent phenomena of our consciousness, or is just an aspect of our experience that will also disappear when the body-mind dies. And so it feels like timelessness, feels like eternity, or something eternal and unchanging. But maybe, how do we know that when we die, it doesn't disappear? How do we know it was there before we were born? Now, again, intuitively, if you go to your intuition, and again, let me know if I'm wrong, but I would say, intuitively, you have an intuitive sense that even before you were born, this sense of the timelessness was always there. You have an intuitive sense, right? And you have an intuitive sense that this will be there after you die. This is our intuition of immortality, of birthlessness and deathlessness. But the same um, argument could be used, which is that just because it intuitively feels eternal doesn't mean it is eternal. Can't your intuition be wrong? Is the essential opposing argument to this. The essential objection. That you might intuit this as being eternal and timeless, but that just because you intuit something as being eternal and timeless doesn't mean it is. Now, if you don't worry about these things, then you can ignore them. If you don't have these objections, you're happy to trust the teaching, then just go with that. But if these things trouble you, then these need to be answered. Or if me raising them is now troubling you, maybe you weren't troubled before until I raised these points. You're like, oh, thanks, Tom. I used to trust the teachings, and now you've just given me two good objections why I should no longer trust the teachings. So I won't answer those objections now. I'm happy to later or at some point. And you don't have to answer these objections either. But I'm just going to ask a simple question. What do you think about what I've said? Does it ring true for you? Is it a helpful teaching? Do you have the objections that I've mentioned or other objections? These questions, they may not be, maybe objection is too strong a word. Maybe it's a question rather than I object, you know? Or do you have an answer to these objections? Do you have a response? Aha, I counter your objection with this piece of logic or something. So if anyone has anything they would like to say about this particular teaching, I'll invite you to raise your hand if you're on Zoom or raise your hand if you're in the room. And if you virtually raise your hand on Zoom using one of those, oh, a couple of you already have, that's great. We'll bring you both in. So I can see Jimmy and Ola, we'll bring you both in at some point. And if I could ask that whenever possible in this meeting, when you speak, see if you can have a sense of that timelessness. As you're speaking, as you're listening. See if you can just have a sense of it. Just to have a sense of that timeless. Even if you consider yourself to be a person sensing the timeless, that even that has huge value. This timelessness is that which leads to salvation. It's our savior. It's that which leads to liberation. It's the liberator. It's the teacher. Remember, I mentioned a word that means savior. Was it the last satsang? Or remember? Jesus. That's right. Jesus means savior. Jesus means God saves, or it means savior. This is our Savior. This is the Christ consciousness within us. This is the self, our self. I am that. Remember, whenever I say I am that, if ever I say to you, I am Bhagavan, I am God, I am that, it also means you are that. You are Bhagavan, you are God. Whatever I am, whatever I claim for myself, also applies to you. When I say I am that, it means I'm also saying you are that. This is Bhagavan. This is the Guru. This is the teacher. This is what I am. This is what I truly am. This is what you truly are. Okay. So keep this presence or timelessness with you if you're able to when you're speaking. Hola, welcome.
So the objection to the critique of that you had about or that you brought up, like I mean, the timeless is everywhere when you get in touch with it. For me, there is still a person, even though, like, I can sense the timeless, but there is still like a person emerging in there. And but if I allow the timeless to come through the heart, it feels like I don't need to make so much effort, and it's already there. So to have these like intellectual critique about the teaching is like distractions from the essence of I am, or the essence of being. It's a detour.
Yes, absolutely right. I agree. I agree, Hola. What you have said is so powerful. At least that's what I felt when you were speaking, and so eloquent. I think you said it much better than I have said it. I appreciate you sharing that.
I felt that you were so like the few last satsangs, like I don't know if it's all of them, but I felt that you were very, very close. Like I felt that you were here many times, but
I am.
yeah, I know. But lately, I mean, when I really go into it and I really invite it, and I like this timeless dimension, or whatever we want to call this timeless presence, when I invite it, it becomes so much stronger and obvious.
And you know what? I think you have a sense, a strong sense of this already, Ola. But you can see how this is no different to bhakti, right?
When what is not different to bhakti?
What you were talking about.
Yeah.
What you were talking about. It is love. It is bhakti. It is devotion. It's the essence of devotion.
but it could also be jnana, right?
Yes, it's the essence of knowledge. It's the essence of devotion. It's the essence of surrender. It's the
Like
essence of love.
for me, I can see that they're both coming together. For me,
Yeah,
like the bhakti and jnana. Before it was more bhakti, and now it's like more jnana also. And
clarity.
huh?
The clarity. The
Yes.
clarity. This is what's happened. The clarity feels like jnana, knowledge. So,
Yes.
so the clarity's come through. This is where I can feel it in your presence and in your words.
Even though it's not as strong now as it was maybe 10 minutes ago.
It is. It's just as strong.
Okay. Well,
It's just as strong.
this timeless might be as strong, but it's with another experience. Like before, it was
I
even
understand.
more in the heart.
I understand.
And I really appreciate that you emphasized on the jnana, because I really had problem discerning like both teachings and both people in my life, and like things that I used to put on like pedestals or somehow was afraid of, like questioning. So now it's like, okay, I don't need to, like, this is just like my some thoughts or some core beliefs or some contractions, feelings that comes up. I don't need to react to them. I can just sort of see them and discern through them, and not be so like put myself as I'm lower or not as knowledgeable, or maybe that's not the wrong word, but not the right word, but yeah, like discern through them.
Amazing.
Yeah, it really is. I appreciate this so much.
Thank you, Ola. Beautiful testimony. Beautiful sharing. And powerful teaching from you as well, I feel. I felt the power of our Guru speaking in you. Your words carried the authority of a teacher. And hopefully we received what you said as a teaching.